Okay, today we're going to use trigonometry to analyze an NFL quarterback. This quarterback has proven himself to be able to throw the ball at a velocity of 10 yards per second. From this figure, we're going to determine if he throws the ball at a 30-degree angle from the release point, how far the ball will go, and how long it will take until the receiver catches the ball. Okay, so now there's our questions right here. And next we are going to look at the triangle that describes the vector components of the quarterback's throwing speed. The hypotenuse of this triangle is 10, representing 10 yards per second. The angle that he releases at is 30. And you can break the two other unknown legs into the velocity in the x and the velocity in the y. And from this 30, 60, 90 triangle, we can use our known ratios of x and 30 degrees, x radical 3 and 60 degrees, and 2x and 90 degrees to determine the values of the velocity in the x and the y. And from these values, we can start to determine what our known and unknown values are for these equations. The initial and final position along the y-axis are 0 because the ball goes in an arc and ends in the same height that it began at. The velocity in the y is equal to 5. We know this through our 30, 60, 90 ratios. And the velocity final on the y is negative 5 because of symmetry of motion. The acceleration in the y due to gravity is about negative 10 meters per second squared. And we are trying to solve for the time. This is originally one of the questions that was asked, which was how long. So for this, we're going to use a physics equation where the final velocity in the y equals the initial velocity plus the acceleration times the time. The equation is shown here, and I plug in the values here. You simplify the equation, and you end up getting t equals 1 second. So the time it takes for the ball to travel this distance is 1 second. We know that the time is going to be equal for both the x and the y dimensions. So from this we're going to solve for the final position in x. The initial position of x we know is 0. We're trying to solve for the final position. Through our triangle we know that the initial velocity and the final velocity in x are 5 radical 3. And the time is 1 again. From this, we're going to use our physics equation for final displacement. We're going to plug in our known values again. We simplify this equation to xf equals 5 radical 3, and that gives us an approximation of 8.66 yards. So, how far did the ball travel? It traveled about 8.66 yards. And it traveled in the air for 1 second. Thanks for listening.